The wedding is small, quiet, and cold. No music, no flowers, no friends to smile at her dress. Lynn signs her name beside a stranger's. Her mother claps softly, satisfied, as if a task is done. Her sister adjusts her bracelet and checks her phone. Min Koi nods politely when the clerk says congratulations. Outside, the air smells of rain and something final. Lynn clutches the small bouquet she bought herself. The petals bruise under her fingers. She doesn't remember saying, "I do." Only the echo of her mother's words, "Be grateful." The car ride afterward is silent. Koi drives steadily, eyes fixed on the road. She watches the highway signs blur into mist. Every mile feels like another layer of herself stripped away. He stops once for gas, asks if she wants water. She shakes her head. Her voice is buried somewhere beneath obedience. By nightfall, they reach the house on the hill. The lights glow soft and unfamiliar. "This is home," he says quietly. She forces a smile, the kind that fools no one. Inside, the rooms are neat, distant, untouched. There's a guest room prepared with care. A quilt folded perfectly, lavender soap on the counter. He points to it like a tour guide. "This will be your space," he says. The word "your" lands heavy, almost kind, almost cruel. She nods, afraid of the gentleness in his tone. When he leaves, the silence expands. She sits on the edge of the bed, shoes still on. The ring on her finger feels too tight, too bright. She twists it until her skin reddens. Downstairs, a clock ticks with steady indifference. She wonders if anyone would notice if she vanished. No tears come, only exhaustion and the faint ache of surrender. The next morning, sunlight spills through lace curtains. The air is crisp, polite, detached. She finds a note by the coffee pot. "Help yourself, I'll be home around 6. His handwriting is precise, controlled. Next to it, a plate of muffins under plastic wrap. She pours coffee, drinks slowly, staring at nothing. The house hums softly, but it doesn't know her name. Every sound, every creak, every sigh feels like a reminder. This life is not hers, not yet. She opens her purse, checks her phone. One message from her mother, "Be a good wife." She deletes it without reading again. Outside, fog curls around the garden fence. Somewhere beyond it, a life waits to be reclaimed. She doesn't know how or when. Only that something inside her refuses to die quietly. She takes another sip of coffee, bitter but real. It burns her tongue, anchors her to the moment. For the first time since the wedding, she breathes. Not freely, not fully, but enough to remember she's alive. Days pass like folded pages, quiet and precise. Min Koi leaves early each morning, shirt crisp, tie straight. Lynn listens to his footsteps fade beyond the gate. She eats alone, washes dishes that never seem dirty. The house is spotless, but she feels misplaced. Every object seems chosen for someone else's life. The scent of cedar fills the hall, sharp and distant. She spends hours by the window, pretending to read. Outside, mist moves over the garden like breath. Inside, time stands still, polite and suffocating. Koi returns at 6, always punctual, always calm. He greets her with a nod, never too close. They share dinner in muted rhythm, forks scraping porcelain. "Was your day all right?" he asks without looking up. "Yes," she says, though silence was her only company. He clears his plate, thanks her softly, retreats to his study. Behind the door, she hears faint typing and nothing more. At night, she lies awake counting the spaces between his breaths. The mattress dips slightly when he turns, but the distance between them feels endless. One morning, curiosity breaks the stillness. She enters his study when the house is empty. The desk is organized, almost sterile. Only one folder sits half-hidden beneath blueprints. She lifts the edge, revealing a company logo. PH letter 1EA1M Gia Holdings. Her pulse quickens. The name is familiar, powerful, untouchable. She flips another page and sees architectural plans. A skyscraper, signed by someone named Chairman PH letter 1EA1M Min Koi. Her husband's name. She steps back, breath shallow. The man who claims to work at a bank owns an empire. That night, she says nothing during dinner. He notices, perhaps, but doesn't ask. When he leaves the next morning, she follows in secret. Her old car trails his black sedan through narrow streets. He stops before a glass tower that reaches into fog. Guards at the entrance bow slightly. Good morning, Chairman PH letter 1E1M. Her world tilts. The modest man she married is built from lies. Back home, she stares at the ceiling until her vision blurs. The ring on her finger gleams like an accusation. Later, she searches the internet. Images confirm the truth. The PH letter 1EA1M family, billionaires of real estate. In one photo, he stands beside an older man. The caption reads, Chairman PH letter 1E1M Dung and Son, Min Koi. She traces his face on the screen, half in anger, half in disbelief. Was he hiding from power or using her to mask it? When he returns that evening, she pretends to sleep. He pauses by the door, the faint scent of rain clinging to him. The floor creaks under his step, then silence again. Lynn presses her hand to her heart, feeling it race. She knows the truth now, but not the reason. And in that quiet uncertainty, a new fear is born. Not of him, but of what her life has become. A contract written in secrets. The invitation arrives on a bright morning. Gold edges, perfect handwriting. Her sister's name printed large and proud. A celebration of professional excellence. Her mother's note scribbled beneath, you should come, dress well. Lynn folds the card, the paper stiff as her resolve. She hasn't spoken to them since the wedding. Still, something inside her wants to face the truth. The drive to her hometown feels longer than before. Every signpost carries a memory she wants to forget. When she reaches the house, it looks reborn. Fresh paint, marble steps, a new car in the driveway. Money has changed hands since she left. Her mother opens the door before Lynn can knock. Look at you, she says, scanning from head to toe. You've gained weight. Marriage must suit you. Lynn forces a smile. It's been peaceful. The rooms are crowded with people in polished clothes. TH letter 1EA3, O glides through them like royalty. Her dress gleams, her laughter sharp as glass. Little sister, she says, kissing the air near Lynn's cheek. You made it, how quaint. Lynn hands her a small box wrapped in brown paper. Congratulations, she says softly. TH letter 1EA3, O takes it between two fingers, frowning. I'll add it to the others. The gift table glitters with silver bows and designer tags. Lynn watches her simple present disappear into excess. She turns toward the kitchen, seeking air and quiet. The scent of champagne and perfume fades behind her. Through the open door, voices drift from the next room. Her mother's tone is sweet, but every word cuts. Lynn was always the difficult one. No ambition, no drive. TH letter 1EA3, OS laughter follows. At least she finally married well. She's a burden no longer, her mother adds, almost proud. For a moment, Lynn can't move. Her hands tremble against the counter. All the years she tried to please them collapse into nothing. The truth hangs heavy and cruel. They never wanted her happiness, only control. Her chest tightens, but her eyes stay dry. She smooths her blouse, straightens her shoulders. Then she turns, quiet and certain. In the hallway, guests chatter without noticing her. She walks past them, steps steady, heart awake. At the gift table, her hand reaches for the brown package. No one stops her, no one even looks. She slips it into her bag, a small rebellion folded in paper. Outside, the air feels cleaner, sharper. She walks to her car, heels clicking on new stone. Each step sounds like a heartbeat returning to life. Behind her, laughter echoes, shallow and distant. She drives without destination, just movement and release. Tears blur the road, then clear again. In the rearview mirror, her reflection seems different. Not a disappointment, not a burden. Just a woman, finally leaving the cage they built for her. The house is dark when Lin returns. Her headlights cut through mist and silence. Min Koi waits in the living room, coat still on. "You're back early," he says, voice calm but unsure. She drops her purse, the sound sharp in the quiet. "They talked about me," she whispers. He says nothing, eyes steady but pained. "My mother, my sister, they called me a burden." Lin's voice cracks, half fury, half exhaustion. "They sold me to you, didn't they?" His jaw tightens, the truth flickering behind restraint. "Yes," he says finally, "but not the way you think." Her breath catches, then explain. He sits, shoulders heavy under invisible weight. "Our fathers made an agreement, a partnership." Her laugh is bitter small. "A transaction, you mean?" "They believed it would secure both families." She stares at him, pulse loud in her ears. "And you agreed." "I didn't know until after," he says quietly. "I used my mother's surname to avoid the deal, but it found me." "So I'm your obligation." "No," he says, the word firm, almost desperate. "I chose to stay because I wanted to, not because of them." She looks away, the floor blurring under tears she refuses to shed. "Why me?" she asks. "Why would a man like you need someone like me?" He exhales slowly, as if the truth itself hurts. "Because you didn't want anything from me." Silence stretches between them, raw and uncertain. Lin sinks into the chair across from him. The clock ticks, marking the unraveling of illusion. He slides an envelope across the table. Her old termination letter, edges creased from time. "I found this when unpacking your things." Her fingers hover over the paper, but do not touch. "What did you love about your work?" he asks. She blinks, startled. "What?" "Before all of this, what made you feel alive?" The question lands softly, dangerously honest. "I loved solving problems," she says slowly. "Helping people make sense of numbers, making chaos simple." He nods once. "Do you want to go back to that?" She hesitates, shaking her head. "No, not anymore." "When my aunt was sick, I took care of her. It changed me." "How?" he asks. "For the first time, I felt useful, connected." Her voice steadies. "I think I want to study nursing." He smiles faintly, something gentle flickering in his eyes. "There's a good program here in the city." "I'm not asking for permission," she says. "I know," he replies. "You don't need it." The tension softens, replaced by quiet clarity. "I won't be anyone's bargain again," she says firmly. He nods. "Then start where you need to. I'll help if you ask." She stands, the weight in her chest finally easing. That night, she searches nursing programs online. The glow of the screen lights her face like dawn. For the first time in years, the future doesn't scare her. It feels open, wide, and hers to claim. The first day of class smells like new books and fear. Lin sits in the third row, hands cold against the desk. The instructor speaks about anatomy, ethics, and compassion. Each word feels heavy, but she listens like her life depends on it. Around her, students share stories of change and second chances. When it's her turn, she says, "I'm starting over." The room goes quiet, then someone nods in understanding. That night, she studies until her eyes sting. Her notes fill with messy handwriting and hope. Min Koi waits up, reading in the living room light. "How was it?" he asks as she drops her bag. "Hard," she admits, smiling for the first time in weeks. He nods. "Hard is good, it means you're growing." Days blur into lectures, exams, and coffee-fueled nights. Her world shrinks to textbooks and quiet determination. When doubt creeps in, she remembers the woman in the mirror. Not the one they molded, but the one she's building herself. Her classmates become friends, her fear becomes focus. Professor Hai praises her logic, calls her a natural diagnostician. The word talent echoes inside her like music. It's not pity, it's recognition, it's hers. Months pass, and she builds a rhythm of purpose. Mornings with coffee, afternoons in clinics, nights revising notes. Sometimes Coy joins her at the kitchen table, sketching quietly. Blueprints spread beside anatomy charts, 2 lives side by side. He never asks her to stop, never questions her time. Instead, he listens when she talks about patients and procedures. When she doubts herself, he reminds her she's capable. Her mother's calls go unanswered, her sister's texts unread. The silence from home no longer feels like loss. It feels like peace. One afternoon, she finds a letter from her professor. A recommendation for a hospital internship, top of her class. She presses it to her chest, breath trembling with pride. That evening, Coy lights candles for dinner. "Celebrate," he says simply. "For what?" she laughs. "For believing in yourself again." They eat in easy silence, the kind built on respect. Later, he shows her plans for a new project. Affordable housing for single mothers and elderly care workers. She studies the drawings, touched by the thought behind them. "Your father won't approve," she says. "I know," he replies, "but some legacies deserve to end." She looks at him then, really looks. Maybe both of them are rebuilding from ashes. By semester's end, Lynn earns her certification with honors. Her classmates cheer, hugging her tight, their laughter real. She drives home that night, windows down, hair wild in the wind. In the distance, the city lights shimmer like a promise. She thinks of her old life, her family, her fear. Then she whispers to herself, "I'm not theirs anymore." The stars blur, but her vision is clear. She has found something stronger than approval. A life she chose with her own hands. 2 years later, the sun rises over the hospital courtyard. Lynn adjusts her uniform, the white fabric crisp and clean. Today is her graduation day, the end and the beginning. She stands in line with her classmates, heart steady and full. When her name is called, applause fills the hall. She crosses the stage, receiving her nursing pin with trembling hands. For the first time, she feels entirely her own. No family name, no expectations, only pride that belongs to her. In the crowd, Min Koi's eyes find hers. He claps, smiling softly, quiet and proud. Later, they meet at a small cafe filled with sunlight. Her friends toast to new beginnings, laughter spilling everywhere. "To Lynn," says one, raising a glass. "The woman who never gave up on herself." She blushes, hiding her grin behind her cup. When the cafe empties, Koi slides an envelope toward her. Her fingers tremble as she opens it. A letter from the trauma unit, stamped and signed. She reads the words twice before breathing. "They accepted me," she whispers. "Of course they did," he says, eyes bright. Pride swells in her chest, warm and fragile. That night, she stands by the window, city lights below like constellations. The reflection staring back at her is calm, certain. The woman who once followed orders now writes her own story. Weeks later, she begins her first shift at the hospital. Her patient, an old woman with silver hair, smiles faintly. "You have gentle hands," she says, voice thin but kind. Lynn adjusts the IV line, heart steady, movements sure. Care feels like purpose made visible. Between rounds, the doctor nods. "You're a natural." She smiles, remembering the words that once saved her. After work, she returns home, the air smelling of rain. On her laptop, a webpage glows softly. The Lan Hoa Foundation, named after her late aunt. A fund for women rebuilding their lives through education. She reads the first application, a single mother studying medicine. Lynn clicks approve, tears blurring her vision. Behind her, Coy steps onto the porch, carrying 2 mugs of tea. They sit together, the swing creaking in rhythm with the wind. "I've been thinking," he says, thumb tracing circles on her palm. About renewing our vows, for real this time. She turns to him, eyes shining. Do you regret how we began? She asks. Never, he says, but I want us to choose each other now. The words settle between them, honest and light. In the garden, jasmine blooms, soft and fragrant. They stand beneath it, hands intertwined, no audience, no performance. She whispers her promise, voice steady as dawn. This time it's not duty, it's choice. When he slips the new ring onto her finger, she feels weightless. The past dissolves, leaving only the present, full and real. The night hums with peace, quiet but alive. Somewhere within, she hears her aunt's voice like a blessing. You found your way, child. Lynn smiles, closing her eyes. At last she is free. The evening sky glows in shades of gold and coral. Lynn stands in the garden, barefoot on cool grass. The air smells of jasmine and distant rain. Behind her, the house hums with quiet life and warmth. She looks at the ring on her finger, simple and new. It shines gently, no longer a symbol of surrender. Now it means choice, courage, and truth. She whispers to the fading light, voice soft but sure. I found my way, Aunt Lan. I kept my promise. The breeze answers with the rustle of leaves, tender and kind. Inside, Minkoy calls her name, laughter in his tone. She turns, heart steady, steps light as breath. The woman who once lived in fear now walks in her own rhythm. Every scar, every tear has turned into strength. She knows there will be storms again, but she is ready. Because this time, she belongs to no one's plan but her own. As twilight deepens, she closes her eyes and smiles. Freedom at last feels quiet, real, and infinite. And somewhere in that stillness, life begins again.